Kentucky, go ahead and head over to TikTok and look over for Man Hour Sports Talk as we upload clips over there as well each and every day. This portion of the Man Hour, guys, is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. So head over to thrivefantasy.com and use promo code MANHOUR, and they'll match up to $50 on your first deposit. However, for the week 1 of the NFL season, which starts in 2 days, if you use promo code MANHOUR and you deposit up to $10, you will get free entry into their $100,000 giveaway. That's thrivefantasy.com. Promo code MANHOUR. Of course, you can also download that on Android and iOS devices. But we do have a very special guest here, guys. Graham Wallace is joining us here tonight, and he is going to give us, guys, the weekly NFL Power Rankings. So every Thursday here, right about this time, Graham will be joining us, and we are very, very excited to have them. But Graham, before we get too carried away, let the people know who you are, what you're all about, and where they can find your blog.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Buck. Graham Wallace. You can find me on Twitter at Bus Wallace. I'm the Blue Jays beat writer for Belly Up Sports. So I've been doing a lot of baseball writing, but once I found out about this chance to jump on with you guys and talk a little NFL power rankings with the baseball season winding down, I jumped all over that. So this should be fun every Tuesday night. Really looking forward to this season.
Yeah. So you are a Blue Jays beat writer. Just so Brandon Combs knows, how bad are the Chicago Cubs?
Oh, well, they I don't even know who's on their team anymore, really. They pretty much traded away practically all the players on their team, but they'll always have 2016.
Yeah.
I've become kind of friends with a fellow writer, Ryan O'Rourke, who's a Cubs fan as well, and he kind of commiserated a little bit about that. But they'll always have 2016, and a city like that, a market like that, I'm sure they'll be able to retool in the next 4 or 5 years or so.
Yeah, that's exactly what Combs banks on every time is 2016, 2016, 2016. But we are here all about the NFL power rankings. The NFL kickoff game is just 2 days away, not 2 hours away. I wish it was 2 hours away. It's 2 days away.
Yes, sir.
And so we always have to have power rankings to judge teams and whatnot. So give me your number 10. Who do you have coming in at number 10 in this week 1 NFL power rankings?
Yeah, number 10, I got the New Orleans Saints. I know obviously there's a big change at quarterback there. The legend, Drew Brees, is no longer in the building. There's a bit of a competition there between Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. It really came down to that, I guess, the final preseason game, or I guess it was the penultimate preseason game. Winston had a great performance, and he really earned the job. But I think that's a better situation for the team as a whole, because Taysom Hill, he's like that Swiss Army knife. He could play special teams. He could play running back, tight end, receiver, and he could even line up behind center from time to time as well. So he's a great athlete, and I think he benefits the team much better as a backup quarterback and a contributor on a lot of different aspects of the game. He'll play several hundred snaps, I would think, besides at the quarterback position. So I think they had a few losses on defense as well, but I trust Sean Payton to at least be in the wild card mix.
Yeah, I mean, you can never put the Saints out of any type of power rankings, just like I feel, just because they only lost Drew Brees, and then Alvin Kamara is back. Michael Thomas is healthy, if he's not fighting his teammates and being upset and asking for trades. So, but my man Brandon Combs says that Jameis Winston is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, and if that's true, I mean, you have to put the Saints in like in there. You are kind of taken back by that. Do you not think that?
I mean, we're not too far removed from his 30-30 season, and I don't mean home runs and stolen bases like baseball. 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. I don't think you could consider him to be a top 10 quarterback. I think I could easily name 10 quarterbacks that are better. But he just needs to take care of the ball. They've got a pretty good running game. So if he could just maybe keep that to say under 20, and have those he could still have 30 touchdowns. Just the 30 interceptions are a little too much. They've got a strong defense, pretty good underrated special teams as well, I would say, with Harris back there returning punts. So he just got to realize that he doesn't have to play hero ball. He doesn't need to do it all himself, and I think he's matured a little bit since he's entered the league. I want to say 2015. So maybe this is the year it all comes together for him, for Jay Boo. But top 10, I think that's a little too rich for me.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So at number 10, you do have the Saints. What about number 9?
So number 9, truth be told, I had them a couple spots higher until about a week or so ago. The Baltimore Ravens. I think J.K. Dobbins going down, that's going to hurt their ground attack, which means so much to them. I don't think there's a team that relies on the running game more, possibly the Seattle Seahawks, but the Baltimore Ravens, they're all about that ground and pound. I like Gus Edwards, but I like him more in a complementary role. They're going to need someone else, whether it's it was Tyson Williams. There's a couple other guys in the mix there. But I'm not sure if Gus Edwards is ready to be that number one guy. So I still think they're going to have a dynamic running attack, especially when you add in Lamar Jackson and everything he can do. I think their passing game could improve as well. They were, I believe, last in yards passing last year. Even if they could get somewhere into the mid 20s and still be a top 10 rushing attack and a dominant defense, I still think this is a team that could be competitive in the AFC North.
Yeah, so a couple things here. Like, I know you are new to the man hour, but we don't speak Lamar Jackson's name here in a very high manner. He is a very trash quarterback. He is bottom tier quarterback here on the man hour. No, I'm totally kidding, but not really. But but I did read earlier today that the Ravens did sign Le'Veon Bell to the practice squad to maybe complimentary Gus Edwards a little bit. I don't know how much Le'Veon Bell will accept that back feature role, because he didn't do it in Kansas City at all. I mean, he actually said that the Kansas City foundation was crap, more or less. So he definitely wants to be the guy. But having the Ravens in the top 10 after losing 2 running backs here in the last week, and that Lamar Jackson just isn't a very good quarterback, I don't think you can put them in the top 10.
Well, these are my power rankings. I have them just squeezing in there. I have a lot of faith in John Harbaugh. One losing season since he entered the league in 2008. I think him and Mike Tomlin have been really stalwarts in that division. I mean, I do have them as the third place team in this division. I meant no spoilers. Who knows what other teams I have ahead of them, but I believe in John Harbaugh. I believe in this organization. And, I have my questions about Lamar as well. He's 1-3 in the playoffs. He hasn't really showed up in some of the big games.
Right.
So he's got a lot to prove, certainly. I think some of the guys they added to that receiving corps, Sammy Watkins, I think Devin Duvernay could be a bit of a breakout candidate. He's going to need to step it up with throwing the ball and not just running it. So it's a 9. I really couldn't have them go much lower than that, but I did actually have them a couple spots higher than that. And then the Dobbins injury happened. I read a little bit about it, and it made me feel like, what, I have faith in this organization and in John Harbaugh. They're going to find a way to win 10, 11 games, I think.
Yeah, and as the people in the chat, they come at me, that is Buck's opinion about Lamar Jackson. We all love him over here. So just some food for thought on the Lamar Jackson. So yeah, the Saints at 10 and Ravens at number 9. Who do you have coming in at number 8?
So number 8, a bit of a bounce back as far as the way their season ended. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were among the worst rushing teams in the NFL last season. I really like the selection of Najee Harris, Alabama running back. I think he's big, strong, ready for that RB1 role. And that's really all this team's lacking. I think Ben Roethlisberger has a resurgent season in him. They still have a pretty good core of receivers, including the Canadian Chase Claypool. That defense is still competitive. I think it could still be a top 10 unit. I think they're definitely have a chance to win that division, or at least be, in the mix, certainly for a wild card. I'd say a dark horse Super Bowl contender.
Wow. So that's kind of a exact opposite of like what I'm thinking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, because we broke down the AFC North last night, and I actually had the Pittsburgh Steelers going 8-9. Just because I don't have faith in Big Ben of getting the ball down the field anymore. But like I said, we will see when that time comes. So who do you have coming in at number 7?
So number 7, I think I like this team a lot more than, quite a few other people, but I got the Seattle Seahawks. their season didn't end the way they wanted to with that playoff loss at home to the Rams. Uh, but I think Russell Wilson will find a way to be there. Chris Carson, one of the most underrated running backs in the league. I think the defense is still going to be tough, led by Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams and Pete Carroll. One of the strongest coaches in the league. I definitely think they're going to be in the mix. I think it's going to be a really tough division between them, the Rams, and also I think the 49ers could have a nice bounce back as well. So I think some people think they're kind of falling off a little bit, but I still am expecting a strong season from those guys up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, like I feel like the Seattle Seahawks are like always right there in the top 5, top 6 of every power rankings week in and week out. They are just a solid team, and that NFC West is probably the toughest division in all of football. So if you are in the top of that division, you are going to do good things. So I definitely like that number 7 pick with the Seahawks. You have coming in at number 6.
So number 6, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I got the Cleveland Browns. I'm a believer. They really put it all together last year. I think they have the most dynamic running back duo in the NFL with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Obviously, they did a lot of damage last year without Odell Beckham Jr. He's going to be back. They got Jarvis Landry. They've got a really dynamic offense. I really like the selection of the linebacker Owusu Karamoa from Notre Dame. I think he could really make an impact right away. Jadeveon Clowney, I'm not sure how much they're going to get out of him, but you got Myles Garrett on the other side. So I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on opposing offenses. And Baker Mayfield just he has to realize that he doesn't need to do it all by himself, much like Jameis Winston. If he could get that completion percentage from a high 62% to somewhere in the 65% range, I think that's going to make for a much more efficient offense. And they just got to take that final step. They're right there. They just got to put it together. I know that's been hard for them to do over the past couple of decades, but I believe in this team.
So let me ask you this question here, because I thought that the Cleveland Browns last year got basically more explosive and more controlled without Odell Beckham Jr. on the field. Do you think possibly they could take a step back with adding that ego back onto the field?
I think it's a definite possibility. I think Baker has a tendency to look out for OBJ a little bit too much. Now, I don't know what he's saying to him on the sidelines. Maybe he's saying, "You got to get me the ball. You got to get me the ball." We all know he does have an ego, but his boys there too. Jarvis Landry. They obviously went to LSU together. I don't know if they keep each other in check at all, but I do think there's a real team atmosphere here, and they're not going to let him kind of blow it for them. I definitely think that's a possibility, but Baker just got to throw to the guy who's open and not just force balls into him. Exactly. And if he could do that, I think they could have a really balanced offense that could put up a ton of points.
Yeah, so many people here on the Man Hour actually have them going 13-4, if not 14-3 this season. So 6 is probably right up there where many people have them. So just to recap your bottom 5 here, coming in at number 10, you had the Saints. 9, you had the Baltimore Ravens. 8, you had the Pittsburgh Steelers. 7, you had the Seattle Seahawks. And number 6, you had the Cleveland Browns. Who do you got coming in at number 5, Graham?
So number 5, I have a team. A lot of people are all over the Los Angeles Rams. They got a new quarterback. They put in Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff out the window over to the Detroit Lions. And I think Sean McVay and a lot of the Rams nation are really excited about the possibilities of that move. I think you're going to see a lot more downfield passing with this team, Woods and Kupp and some of these other weapons that they have, Tyler Higbee as well. I know Cam Akers, that injury could be a big loss, but I think they'll be okay. And I really expect them to be kind of a 60-40 passing team. Actually, I think they're going to be really aggressive with throwing the ball down the field. And we're going to kind of see the Rams we saw 2018, I should say, when they went all the way to the Super Bowl, when Goff was playing at a higher level, a bit more confident player he was back then. So I think Stafford will be able to unlock things in the offense that really McVay didn't feel comfortable doing previously with Goff.
Yeah, and let's not forget that they do have probably the most dominant defensive player we have ever seen in Aaron Donald on that side. And just that defense is probably a top 5 defense in the NFL for at least the last 2 seasons, if not further. And I
Yep.
anticipate them being much more of the same. Like, we haven't broken down the Rams division yet with the Seahawks and stuff like that. But right now, you have two NFC West teams in the top 10. So obviously, it's going to be a very, very competitive division, and hopefully they don't beat down each other and keep each other out. But I do have many people do have the Rams in the Super Bowl. But
Yes.
who do you have coming in at number 4?
So number 4, I got the Green Bay Packers. I think quite a few people had them maybe a little bit lower, maybe towards 10. But I still believe in Aaron Rodgers and the other Aaron Jones. The rest of this offense, I don't know if Robert Tonyan's going to catch 12 touchdowns again, but he's definitely a downfield weapon as well. Devontae Adams is probably a top 3 receiver, whether you have him 1, 2, or 3. You probably have him somewhere in that mix. I still think the defense is good enough to be competitive, probably be a top 10 unit or so. I still believe in this team. They won 13 games the last 2 years. They weren't able to finish. They got to the NFC Championship the last 2 years. I think they're so close. I like what they've got going with LaFleur and Rodgers. I think they actually do have a good relationship. There's been a lot made out of that, but I'm going to believe in this team until they start falling apart. I haven't seen any cracks in the seams, so I still think the Green Bay Packers have a very strong season ahead of them.
Yeah, you will not see any cracks in the seam until week 2, when the Detroit Lions come into Lambeau and beat the Packers by 17 points, I should say, as the Lions will go 11-6 this season. So they'll be in your top 10 by week 4, I bet.
Wow, so that is bold.
That is bold, but very, very true.
Okay.
But however, we do have 2 Packer fans here on the show, and Tori and the Wyatt Williams. So they'll be very much in love with that number 4 pick. But who do you have coming in at number 3?
So I got the Buffalo Bills. We saw Josh Allen just take off last year. He increased his completion percentage by over 10%. He's just so much more efficient, but still explosive, throwing the ball down the field. He developed a magnificent connection with Stephon Diggs. Cole Beasley also had a great season. He's been making the news for other reasons. We don't need to go there. But I think the defense needs to get better and needs to improve. Certainly, AJ Epinesa is a guy that they drafted out of Iowa a couple years ago. They're looking for him to make an impact. They also took a bit of a flyer on a late first round pick, hoping to improve that pass rush, which is really the biggest weakness of their team. I also think they could stand to make some improvements in their running game. They kind of went with a by committee approach with Singletary and Zach Moss as well. So if they can make some gains in those 2 areas, I definitely think this is a Super Bowl caliber team. Josh Allen is, I think, a top 5 quarterback right now, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, so spoiler alert, I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan. However, I do have the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl this year, so take that as you will. So just to recap the top 5 here, we have 5 coming in with the LA Rams, 4 you have the Green Bay Packers, and 3 you have the Buffalo Bills. So coming in at number 2, it better be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or we might have problems here.
I'm sorry, sir, but it is the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that's boring to make the Super Bowl runner-up, the number 2 team, but I think the number 1 weakness of this team, and we saw it exposed big time in that Super Bowl, was the offensive line. Now, they did take major steps to address that, and I really like the moves they did. I think they could at least be an average offensive line this year, and that's really all they need. Patrick Mahomes, he's probably the best quarterback in the NFL, or on a very short list of maybe 2 or 3 other guys. They've got an explosive offense. They've started to see some defections in that receiving core, though. I've talked about Sammy Watkins earlier. Maybe he's not as valuable as he used to be, but he's gone on to Baltimore. They've also lost Chris Conley. So I think they're going to see a guy like McCole Hardman have to step up a lot more. The guy's a real speedster, along with Tyreek Hill, 2 of the fastest receivers in the NFL. They still got Kelsey, but they might need another receiver or 2 to kind of emerge that not a lot of people really know about. I think the defense is good enough to get the job done. They don't necessarily need to be dominant, but Chris Jones and some of those other guys with the pass rush, Tyrann Mathieu on the back end, I still love this team. I still think they're a Super Bowl contender. Andy Reid is my guy, but I couldn't put them in the number 1 spot with all the things that happened kind of in the off season.
Right. And hopefully Chris Jones is able to play if he stops putting loaded machine guns in the back of his SUV. So hopefully he will learn from the previous 2 times he's been caught. But so coming in at number 1, you obviously are going to have the Detroit Lions there, right?
Well, I mean, I have them at 1, but not number 1. There's another number ahead of the 1, so we have to stay tuned for that. Number 1, again, maybe you could call me boring, but I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champions. They brought everyone back, and they made a couple of nice draft picks, and they got Gio Bernard as a third down back, something they really didn't have last year. So I know it sounds crazy, but they could even be better than they were last year. Tom Brady's not going to let complacency set in. I'm not a fan of the guy, but he just gets it done. Year after year, I've learned better than to bet against him. So I'm just going to put them at number 1. And if they start losing a bunch of games, you're going to see them drop from there. But I have to put them at number 1 to start it off. Call me boring, call me what you will, but these are my rankings. That's how I have them.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to put the defending Super Bowl champs at number 1. Like I feel you are number 1 until somebody knocks you off. So just to recap here, you have at number 10 you have the Saints, number 9 you have the Ravens, 8 you have the Steelers, 7 you have the Seahawks, 6 you got the Browns, 5 you got the LA Rams, 4 you got the Packers, 3 you got the Bills, 2 you got the Chiefs, and number 1 you do have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the only team that I really don't like up there is the Steelers, to be honest, just because how they finished last year. Yes, they started off the season 12-0, but they lost the final 5 games of the year. You can call it a fatigue, or maybe just people just figured them out, But as of right now, I would bump everybody else up, and I would probably slide in the Tennessee Titans in at number 10, just because of like what they did in the postseason. It was very exciting to watch.
You know what? It's funny you say that. I don't know how deep we're going to go into these, but I actually have them just outside the top 10. I have them at number 11. I think they're probably the strongest team in that AFC South, which you can make a case could be the weakest division in the NFL this season.
Right.
I like Ryan Tannehill more than most. I don't know how much Julio Jones has left. I'm also a little concerned about Derrick Henry and the amount of carries he's had over the last 2 seasons. The defense showed less bite last year than it did a couple of years ago when they went 9-7 and then went on that kind of magical playoff run. So I like Mike Vrabel as well as a coach. I think they're a good team, maybe a dark horse pick. If things bounce right, they could find themselves in the big game. But for now, I have them just outside that top 10 ranking.
Yeah. So looking at your top 10 here, let me ask you a question. What team outside of the top 10 has the best chance to make the Super Bowl in your eyes?
You know what? I'll take a shot here and say the San Francisco 49ers. They were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't been able to stay healthy, so they made a bold move and they traded for the rookie Trey Lance. I love the potential of this kid. I know he hasn't played a lot of football, but they've been talking about mixing both of these quarterbacks in. I really like their defense with Nick Bosa. I know that hasn't worked in the NFL, and I don't know it's going to work its way out. Either Jimmy G is going to be healthy and play well, because when he's healthy, he has played well.
Right.
I like the running game with this team. I like Kyle Shanahan as a head coach, and I still think this defense can be dominant. I know it may seem bold. They only won 6 games last year, but I really think this team can rip off a bunch of wins and maybe even win that division. I know it sounds crazy, but if I had to pick one, that's the team with the highest potential, I think, in that kind of 11 through 20 group I have.
Right. And to be totally honest, I am on board with you 100%, just because of everything that you said. They are just 2 years away removed from a Super Bowl, which their coach ultimately lost in the game by, deciding to pass the ball and just not keep their running game up the way they were all playoffs. I feel like if the 49ers would have won that Super Bowl versus the Chiefs, we would be talking about the San Francisco 49ers dynasty getting ready to happen, not the Kansas City Chiefs. So I definitely like the San Francisco 49ers dark horse kind of pick there 100%. So guys, that is going to be it for Graham's Wallace NFL preseason top 10 power rankings. Like I said, he will be with us every Tuesday about 8:30 East Coast time here on the Man Hour. So Graham, anything to tell the people before you head out?
Hey, if you have something to say about my power rankings, or if you like them, if you don't like them, please hit me up on Twitter at Bus Wallace. Check out my articles on BellyUpSports.com. I'm writing more about baseball stuff, but as things wind down, you might see some articles about football as well on there. So come hit me up.
Yeah, so I will post his Twitter and his latest blog in next week's bio section down there on the YouTube page. So Graham, thank you for joining us, man, and guys, we'll be right back here on the Man Hour.
Thank you.